Welcome everybody to Beyond the Ether podcast. This is your boy Dino, aka your Solid Five. This week we have a wonderful guest, Russell Shaw. Russell is an established actor, theater, and voice-over artist. His television work includes Film 4's Scummy Man, alongside Stephen Graham, as well as acclaimed performances for Sky Arts. Russell also narrated the first seasons of Unexplained Caught on a Camera, showing on the Really Channel and UKTV, and voiced for the BBC One show. Russell starred in the medieval fantasy Witch, which is currently on Paramount Plus and now Shudder, and appeared in the Lockdown Hauntings with Tony Todd playing the sinister Locksmith. Welcome.
Thanks, Dave. Much appreciated. And thanks for inviting me on your show. And thanks for all the time you give me to replying to my messages. Much appreciated.
I appreciate your time too. So let's get into your origins, how you started into acting, what influenced you, stuff like that.
Well, gosh, from as long as I can remember, I always thought I was going to be a professional footballer. I was obsessed with playing football. All my photos from childhood, I had a football with me. And also, just for a little while, I thought I was going to be a singer and with a guitar. I used to jump off the settee with a plastic guitar. I think that was Gary Glitter, which obviously that part of the story has been tarnished forever. I don't want it would be Gary Glitter, more like Eddie Vedder or someone. And I had in the UK, we've got what's called the Bobby Charlton Soccer School. We've also got Calderdale Trials. If you got picked for those two, you were pretty good.
Okay.
And I did. I got picked. And then lots of other stuff happened in my life. I was going off on a little bit of a tangent, but I was born from birth walking on my toes. I used to walk on my toes a lot.
Cool.
So I got bullied a lot from
Mm.
the secondary school onwards. My mom and dad divorced, and there was just a lot of stuff going on. I was a late developer. So the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I realized that I just struggled with a lot of stuff from the early years. So I just didn't have the confidence as a footballer. I think I needed that support, that backing. And then when my mum and dad divorced, my mum couldn't look after the three of us, me, my brother, and my sister. So I moved to a place called Cornwall and lived with my dad and my stepmother. And I just always remember I was about 15 years old at the time. And they just both sat me down and said, "You're not going to make it as a professional footballer. We want you to get a proper job, make some money, stop daydreaming," basically. And that was the end of that.
Okay.
And then from then on, I worked in the building trade with my dad, did all the necessary qualifications. Then I worked in engineering. Then I worked as a welder,
Mm.
and I worked as a full-time welder. And I was a million miles away from where I am now in terms of how I think about myself, in terms of how I think about every aspect of my life. And and I used to go back home to West Yorkshire at Christmas in England. And I had a chance conversation with my mom, and I just said, "I'm not happy. I don't know what I want to do with my life. I'm just not happy. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I'm picking up a wage at the end of the week. You know, I've got two cars, I've got a motorbike, and I'm just not happy." And she said, "Well, what did you like at school?" And she said, "You liked singing, you liked being in the band, but nothing really materialized there." And she said, and I said, "I liked acting. I liked acting. I did. I remember doing two acting classes at school,
Mm.
and I really loved it. I loved the escapism." And she said, "Well, why don't you look into that?" And it wasn't easy. I got back
Right.
into education, which was just to develop my English and maths because I left school early to be with my dad. So I didn't do my GCSEs or my exams or anything. I just left school early so I could be on this bloody building site. And and then I managed to get access to do a BTEC national diploma in theatre. And even then, back then, I was having to go to the job centre and say, "Hey, yeah, I'm looking for work. I'm looking for a full-time job. Keep them happy while I'm managing to do this minimum of 17 hours a week doing this college course, where I ended up with 6 distinctions, built my confidence, and I realised that I wanted to be a performer. I wanted to be an actor. I didn't know in what area yet. It was more theatre. I started out in theatre and built from there, and and then that gave me 6 distinctions, which gave me access to 5 universities, and I
Wow.
picked Leicester de Montfort, and then I graduated there, and that gave me the confidence to start putting myself out there, and it was more theatre, murder mysteries, corporate work, music videos, a lot of murder mysteries, which gave me a chance to play different characters. We were the first murder mystery a company called Murder One in the UK to perform in India.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and I had some success. And then what happens? I just started to dabble a little bit in short films, and then, but mostly theatre. But to cut a long story short from that part of my career, it was only in 2018 when a gentleman called Howard J. Ford, a director who's done about 16 films now solo, a couple on Netflix now, The Ledge, Dark Game, and maybe you'll get to interview him, David. A very interesting, fascinating guy, lovely, lovely guy. And he gave me my opportunity. He saw something in me. He'd seen me in theatre plays, he'd seen me in productions, and saw something in me and given me my proper film break with a distribution deal in America and Canada and the UK on Amazon Prime. And it was the first time I'd done anything like this.
Yeah.
And then from then on, I've kind of developed my skill sets and learned along the way. And now it's just my ultimate dream, Dave, to doing what I love. It's my absolute passion. And then followed Adventure Boys, which was a comedy. It was shown at Cannes,
Yeah.
Amazon Prime, it was on all the platforms. And then followed Lockdown Hauntings with amazing Tony Todd, God bless him. Quite a few other feature films followed. And then at the time I mentioned Adventure Boys being at Cannes, a certain gentleman called Mark Zammit, who you will probably hear about in the future, is a bit of a mover and a shaker in the business, that's for sure. Young guy. And he saw me on Adventure Boys, said, amazing. There's not many actors that can act with their eyes. He thought I was a very sort of rare actor. He was really impressed with me. And we kept in touch. And he kept in touch with me in lockdown. I remember him saying to me, ring me if ever you need me. I hardly knew him. And
Yeah.
in 2023, 2022, 23, he just said to me, I've got a possible part for you in a film that I'm doing. It's a medieval horror, fantasy, folklore, sci-fi, and I'm thinking of you for a part. Initially, I don't know if you've seen the film, Dave. Initially, it was
Yeah.
you've seen it.
I saw it. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! Well, initially, it was the part of William. They
Okay.
felt I was not young enough for the part of William. So if you know the story, you know how it works. Not to have any spoilers. So I was given the part of this other character called Thomas, and then what they did, Craig Hines, Mark Zammit, and David Babeline, who is the story consultant, they decided to turn the film around and make the film about Thomas and make Thomas the central character. And then Ryan Sponger plays William. Yeah, obviously no spoilers. So yeah, and now I mean distribution deal. Now it's on Shudder.
Yep.
First it was on Paramount Plus, and now it's just been released on Shudder. And
And I had to wait to watch it because when you had messaged the account, it like wasn't out yet in the United States, I believe. So I had to wait like I think a couple weeks or so, and then I was able to watch it, I think, on Shudder.
fantastic. Did
Yeah.
you like it, Mike?
Um, like so I'm like in my preference of like horror films or sci-fi, whatever you want to call it, I'm not huge on witches, like in
Right.
general. So it's not that like I didn't like the movie. It's just like I'm just not. I wouldn't go out of my way to watch like probably like any witch film in general. So it's not that I didn't like it. I just it's a genre that I'm not very fond of.
I
So,
understand.
you
Well,
know,
thank you. Honest, I'd rather you said that than, oh yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
no, there's obviously I like it's not your standard witch film, obviously. It's very different, which I like I like that reach, because
Absolutely.
it's totally different. It's not your standard, Salem's Lot witch trial, kind of thing. It's completely different, like, later on in the film, which I'm not gonna spoil for anybody, but anyway, my opinion doesn't matter so much. So whoever wants to see it, it's on Shudder and Paramount Plus. So check it out, guys.
Well, what I will say, Dave, I kind of agree with you. There were certain moments where I didn't think the execution was quite right, but it got 3 stars in the Guardian, and the Guardian tabloid is huge in the UK, and they're very picky about the films that they review. And what they said in a nutshell was that they tried something original. And
Yeah,
that's got to be applauded because there's so many films out there, sequel after sequel, doing the same thing over and over again, nicking ideas from other films. And we tried
yeah.
something completely different. And if I could think of one film that would be have some sort of similarities, it would be a film called Triangle. Have you ever heard of that film?
No, no.
I've forgotten her name now. The woman from Home Away. She's also in 30 Days and 30 Nights.
Okay.
I can't remember her name.
Me neither.
Yeah, so, but there's not many films I can think that have the same premise as Witch. Um, and get this, Dave, 9 days on the same set as The Witcher. That's where we filmed.
Oh,
Nine
wow.
days. I look at films nowadays. I look at these some of the producers, directors that I'd like to work with. They're on set for 3, 4 weeks. We
Yeah.
had 9 days, and then we had about a week, maybe 2 weeks of pickups in the UK.
Okay.
But yeah, 9 days, which is incredible. And during lockdown, because Hungary was just coming out of lockdown, Budapest was just coming out of lockdown. The UK was in full lockdown. I'm not sure about the US. So
Okay.
when you take all that on board as well, it's just, I think it's quite remarkable.
Totally. Yeah, of course. Before we get into some of, the more recent stuff, I know we kind of already touched on a little bit of Witch and Lockdown Hauntings, but I wanted to know while you were in theater, and this is a question I ask anybody that's been in theater, do you have any like theater horror stories where, you're in a show and something like just awful, like not necessarily awful, but like maybe you missed some lines or like you didn't bring a prop on stage or something like that was supposed to happen but it didn't happen on cue.
I'm smiling because I know I think that's a really good question. Oh God, I've not rehearsed this one at all. So yeah, when I was at college, I was performing. It's one of the first performances I ever did. Actually, it was called Cabaret. It's the musical. I played a character called Ernst Ludwig, and I'm at this party at the end where I've got the German swastika armband on, and it's offending a lot of people.
Yeah.
So in the actual, as part of my performance, I have to go, oh, sorry, I come directly from the party and I have to take this armband off. But what I'd done during the half time, I'd safety pinned it through my jacket, through the swastika, through my jacket. So you just heard this massive rip.
Oh, I
So I
love it.
always remember that. And yeah. And then I just come out with this improvised line like, this jacket is not as it seems.
It's so good.
Where did that come from?
Sometimes the best stuff comes out of like mishaps. So
Yeah, yeah. But
uh
I'm trying to think of another time. Pantomime. Let me think of pantomime. So I've done a lot of pantomime as well. I played a character called Long John Silver,
okay.
parrot on the shoulder. We're just about to go out in the vans, all the different groups to tour around the UK. We've got all the assessors in to see if we're ready before we go out on tour to perform Treasure Island. And I'm playing Long John Silver with the parrot on my shoulder.
Right.
And all through the performance, I'm talking to the parrot, and and these parrots speaking to me. And obviously, not literally. I'm doing the parrot's voice. I did the whole show talking to the parrot, and I'm going, "Oh yes, no, I don't think you should do that. Oh, yeah. Three balloons, three balloons." And at the end, the assessor came up to me and said, "You forgot to put the parrot on."
Oh no.
Oh God! So that was probably the best one. But he liked me enough. He loved my energy. He just said, "Get out of there. Go and make him laugh." So
Oh,
that was
I
that.
love that. That's that's something I would do. Like, oh God.
Brilliant question, Dave. I love that. I love that. That's kind of yeah, great. Nice to share that with you.
So so you did Witch in 9 weeks. I mean minus
9 days.
reshoots. Or no, sorry, 9 days. Kind of such a short amount of time. That's wow, that's incredible, honestly. And then so how long was Lockdown Hauntings? Like, because I know that was mostly filmed like separately with only a couple locations and also like a lot of like video calls and stuff like that. Um, and I only got maybe like halfway into the film. Obviously I saw you on screen for a couple of scenes, but like so how was filming that? Because there was so much going on like between characters and so how many days were you on that one?
Yeah, I always remember I was playing tennis with a friend and I got a phone call from Howard. We've kind of just really got a really great connection. Sometimes
Yeah.
he just messages me just to ask if I'm all right. Really lovely, and I've met his family and stuff, and we have a really good connection. So he just rang me out of the blue and said, "I've got this possible part for you. It's between you and one other guy. What do you think? Would you like to do it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm playing tennis with one friend. We've got the whole social distancing going on, and it was a different world, Dave, wasn't it?"
Yeah.
And obviously, someone rings you up and says, "You want to be in a film?" You're like, social distancing and washing the hands and all the rest of it. And he said, I think for him it was a massive challenge. He doesn't have there's no with Howard. He loves a challenge,
Hmm.
and as a filmmaker, he's a proper guerrilla filmmaker. And I just said I'd love to be in it. I said I'd love to be in it, and it's quite remarkable what he did actually, Dave, because he filmed us all in our own houses. And then if you watch
Oh,
it, it looks like we're all together at times, but we're not. We're all in our own houses. And that scene where you see me behind the bars, all he did was come upstairs with just a metal gate, and then put it in my room and sort of the lighting out and everything. And the whole social distancing, and me and Howard were washing his hands every 5 minutes and don't
yeah.
get too close. And what he did, he directed it, he wrote it, he produced it, he did everything. Was just absolutely amazing. I think Angela Dixon co-wrote some of the lines as well. And I wish to God, Dave, if I have any regret, I wish I'd had a chance to write as well, because I wanted to do a proper monologue for my character of Lyndon Robbins, the locksmith. But he said to me something, and I thought that is really clever. What was COVID? The silent killer, really. He
Right.
wanted me to be the silent killer. So he was happy that I didn't have much dialogue, which is really quite clever, actually. And he did that all on his self, the whole
Wow.
thing. Got the actors together, filmed in their own houses, and then put the film together. I think he met Tony Todd on a flight, some flight on the plane, and then 10 years later, he got back through Tony Todd's agent and said, "I'd love to have Tony Todd on this film. He could play some sort of paranormal investigator or something." And Tony Todd just said, "Yeah, I'll do it."
Wow.
So it was great to get him on board, just to give the film that momentum, that gravitas, the big name.
Right. God, that's incredible. That's so much work, for I mean, obviously there's he's doing a lot of probably, over 90% of it, but I mean I'm sure there was, little help here and there, but that's so much work for one person. I can't imagine like, the amount of hours and days and weeks, months that it took, to put all that together, collaborate, get you guys, on sync, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember
That's
Dave as well
intense.
to get me to sort of tap into my my anger that we all have, Dave. He talked to me a lot about my own brother and the stuff that went on for my brother. Because if you remember in the story, Jonathan Hansler, who plays the other Robin's brother, is we were brought up in a boarding school and a lot happened there. So he
Yeah.
kind of tapped into that with my brother. So when I exploded, if you remember, he said to me, I scared the hell out of him. Did not know it was coming at all, and I don't know where it's coming. It's coming from deep, deep
Yeah.
within. 30, 40, 40 years of anger or whatever. Yeah. So
Came up.
it added to the scene definitely. I think the thing with Lockdown Hauntings, and my girlfriend touched on this the other day, is if he was ever to do a sequel, I think he'd have to change the name, because does anyone want to be reminded of Lockdown, the word lockdown?
Right.
Maybe it could be something different. And I think also I don't think people now want to watch Lockdown Haunted because it just reminds them of lockdown.
Right.
So I think it deserved more plaudits, to be honest with you. I think it's quite incredible what he did. Absolutely amazing. And I'm sure very, very, very soon he's going to really hit the big time, because he's an extraordinary director and an extraordinary person as well.
Well, anybody that's willing to put that much work into a project and with so much limitations, they deserve, more than just a pat on the back, So,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
and to go on about your, how you wanted dialogue for your character, or more, you wanted more dialogue for your character. My preference for like villains in general is for them to be silent. I don't, for some reason, like, unless you're like a Joker or something like that, like you're a person of monologue, like. Because on that movie, like you're strangling people, for the most part. I mean, you do stab some people, whatever. But I was like, I don't know. I feel like for the most part, silent killers scare me more than people that talk. But there's obviously exceptions. There's the Joker. There's like Negan from Walking Dead. There's some other people that can definitely pull it off.
Well, he's comparison he made was Kevin Spacey in Seven. Now, when Kevin Spacey was first cast in Seven,
Oh
no
yeah,
one. And if you remember, his name is not in the credits at the end. He's not credited, and it was all to keep that mystery. And what you were saying then, Dave, about these sort of like these killers, these serial killers. Sometimes it's about less is more and not saying too much. Kevin Spacey hardly said anything, did he? Apart from
right.
at the end where he's in the car with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. And to be honest with you, Dave, this is no word of a lie. I've never shared this. I've not shared this with many people. I went to see Seven at the cinema on both occasions, and I walked out at the scene where he's saying, "We'll be there soon," and you can see the pylons in the background, and Brad Pitt's going, "You're a movie of the week. You're a phony. You're this," and he's just like really confident. He knows what he's done, and the music kicks in. I kept walking out of the cinema at exactly the same point, so it took me 3 times before I could actually see the film at the cinema, because the tension was just so much. But
Yeah,
it's that thing about he's hardly said anything all through the film, and then at the end he's telling you what he's about to do, the grand plan, and your imagination's going wild, going, what the hell? What is he on
right.
about? And Brad Pitt's just like joking about, you're a movie, you're a t-shirt of the week and all this business. And Morgan Freeman's a little bit sort of like, hang on a minute. That moment, I just couldn't watch. I just kept walking out of the cinema. I've paid like £15 to watch this film and I'm walking out. So yeah, but in terms of what you were saying, for serial killers not to say it creates that mystery, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which is really powerful.
Again, that's just me personally, but that I've been proven wrong many times, with certain
I
things.
couldn't
So,
agree.
I'm only human. Um, so far, like, between like those films, has there been something that's like been like very close to heart to you, like that you've worked on? You know?
Well, I do love Witch. It's my biggest role to date. I had a lot of lines.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah,
very intricate story, and to be on the set of The Witcher, to be on the same set as The Witcher was quite extraordinary. I mean, it's what I want more of. I just remember the film sets. The film set was just huge,
Mm.
absolutely incredible. Instead of looking at a door at sort of like eye level, you're looking at a door like that. It was
Wow.
just it was mind blowing. Um, so I think which is very close to my heart, even though I don't think I've not being big headed about this, but I don't think I've tapped into my full range yet by any means. But which was very close to my heart. It's actually I've written down here. It's actually based on the subject of paramnesia as well. Craig Hind, the director, when he was at college, he studied uh, about the subject of paramnesia. So it's loosely based on paramnesia, and paramnesia is it's a condition or phenomena involving distorted memory or confusions of fact and fantasy. So there's so
Mm.
much going on with that, and I think which for me the reason why it is close to my heart is because it's fantasy, it's horror, sci-fi. I think I like films that are that challenge audiences to look beyond the ordinary. I like
Right.
films like that. That's the kind of films I like. And also, um, I like when I get cast in a film. I want to know about the character straight away, and I look for the subtext behind the character. That's what interests me. That's what makes a good actor if you've got subtext. And with Thomas, you've got he's deceitful. He's got there's a secrecy aspect. He's
Yeah.
burdened by hidden truths, moral dilemmas. Um, he's he's the consequences of his choices. And at the heart of the story is the underlying morality, where these innocent people being killed.
Yeah.
So I think that film has a very special connection for me. I love the film personally. It's not perfect. A lot of people say they think it's incredible. Some people they don't like it. Some people say the execution wasn't great. Some people there's great reviews. Some people not. But then you can't please everyone, can you?
Yeah.
You really
No,
can't.
totally not.
And also, just to give a mention to David Babaline as well, the story consultant, very impressive guy. Again, a really lovely man and a fantastic storyteller. And he does podcasts all over the world as well. And a special mention to him because, along with Mark Zammit, who I've spoke about in the last podcast, and Craig Hind, who's a genius in his own way, David Babaline was the story consultant, and he kind of, put his own sort of insight and perspective on which as well, and gave his own experience as well because he's I think he's wrote a lot of books about this sort of thing, the time travel and all that kind of thing. So yeah, which is it's got a special place in my heart. And also, Dave, I don't know if you've got a dog. Have you got a dog at all?
No, not currently.
I did. You might like it. It's on Sky Arts. It came out in 2012 at a time when social media wasn't such a big thing. It's picking up traction now, of course, over the years. It's called Boris the Rottweiler. It's a 50-minute monologue, and I basically play a Rottweiler. Oh, I'm as guilty as sin. And it's based on a true story. The writer wrote it from the perspective of his dog was killed by a Rottweiler.
Mm.
So I play the Rottweiler, and I'm getting upset about these new dogs next door, and I can hear them through the fence, and eventually carnage occurs. That's also a very close production that's close to my heart. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. That sounds very interesting.
Arts. Yeah, YouTube.
Mm. To add on to what you were talking about, character development, or like, you want, like, you being invested in like the character aspect of like scripts and stuff like that. Um, I feel the same way. I mean, obviously, I'm not an actor. I don't. I mean, I write, and when I write, I try to add a little more layers to a character because I feel like when I watch a film and I there's like zero character development, I lose interest like pretty quick. I
Okay.
you know I don't know what it is, but like it just if they're just like if they don't have much going on, I'm just like why are they here? Kind of thing. Are they just filling up the screen? Like it doesn't make sense to me. But I mean, obviously, it works on certain films, like probably like horror, a little more in horror. I guess it doesn't matter so much. Most of the time, depends on the type of horror. If it's slasher, you don't really need so much character development. But if it's like something a little more deep, then you probably should have little bit of backstory. But that's my preference in a lot of films. And obviously, your character Thomas there was a lot going on with him. So I like
And I,
things like that.
yeah, and I think it adds it gives added dimension to my character as well, all
Yeah,
that I mentioned, which makes it more interesting for an actor, and it gives me something to get into
right.
as well. And yeah, as I mentioned, it makes you a better actor because you've got something to work with, and that's
Yeah,
what drew me to the film in the first place.
yeah. I do appreciate the things like that. So like when you bring in more dimensions to a character, especially with that kind of character, it definitely makes the experience brighter, better. So you got some stuff coming up pretty
Yes.
soon, which is what the Bone Keeper.
Yeah.
You guys just
Um,
wrap that up or
Yeah, so I've actually wrote this down, so I've got this right. So yeah, Bonekeeper, which is Howard's new film, he's also got another one called Zipwire that he's just, I think he's almost finished, and he's also got a new one called The Hatchery, which sounds very interesting. So Bonekeeper with John Rhys-Davies from Lord of the Rings, I think.
yeah.
Quite
And from Sliders from 1995.
wow, wow,
Yeah,
fantastic.
I love that show. Well, especially before he left. He was only on the first two seasons and then he left because he did, it was a sci-fi show. I think at the time he was looking for more like serious work. Um,
Yeah,
but I loved his performance in those seasons and it's still one of my favorite shows like to date. Like I go back and watch it sometimes.
wow.
It's just a
Well,
sci-fi film,
like
sorry, show.
Yeah, well, you like Bonekeeper, Dave, because he's in it.
I know. I
Um,
saw that. I was like, you got to work in what the fuck?
so yeah, I mean, it's actually today, isn't it? It's just finished the American film market in Los Angeles. I think today was the last day. It was the 11th to the 16th at the AMC Century City. Um, so yeah, Bonekeeper, where I'm just part of a SWAT team. I play a character called Matthews, but always grateful. Big part, small part, cameo part, whatever.
Really?
I'm very grateful to Howard and Mark Zammit when they cast me. And then Jitters, which is about an AI, something to do with AI and clown, and that's kind of very fitting in this era, especially. That's directed by Mark Zammit.
Okay.
So that's going to be on at the American film market. That's just finished at the American film market as well. Play a character called Zach. Then I got a couple of NDAs in place with a few projects that I'm not allowed to talk much about. Then there's another one that's quite interesting. This is East Sussex, where I am based, Brighton, a film called Bestyle. I don't know how it's going to do, but it's just lovely to be part of a team, part of a project, part of a film that I find interesting. It's one of those um, found footage films, like
Okay.
what was Blair Witch started all off, didn't it? Blair Witch was just
Yeah.
random. So it's one of them found footage films, folklore, buried cults, that kind of thing. So I'm like,
Gotcha.
yeah, with a director called Christian Paris. I think I'm doing the voiceover as well. I've only got a small part in the acting side, but I'm very looking forward to seeing we can do something special with that. That sounds really interesting. And Christian Paris is not someone I know very well, but I do know that for a lot of people, sometimes you have a certain path in life, and then you just stumble across something else and think, actually, I love this. And I think that's what it was like for him. He wanted to get into film, and he loves it now. He's changed his, gone in a different path. So I'm thinking, this could be interesting work with him. And then I'm also, I don't know if you've ever heard, Dave, of the Moors murderers in the
No,
UK. Well, I'm sure you've got your own sort of serial killers there. Like
probably too
Bun,
many.
like that. Well, we have, well, they're both dead now, thankfully. The Moors murderers, Ian Brady and Myra Hindley, very notorious at the time, and they 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 murdered a lot of children and
Uh,
with them. It was horrible. And two of the bodies, or three of the bodies, were never found. And then this guy called Fred Harrison, newspaper investigator, decided to take the case and got in touch with Ian Brady in prison and eventually got him to reveal the last two bodies. And the reason why this is significant is because if he hadn't have got involved, they would have just ended up on the police files forever.
oh,
So we're doing an audio play, and I'm playing the reporter that interviews the real Fred Harrison. So that'll be quite an honor for me. So there's quite a few things going on, a few, two or three feature films, a couple of NDAs, and the voiceover play that'll probably be on Radio 4 and that kind of thing as a documentary play. So very excited about that as well. So there's quite a lot going on.
yeah, that sounds very interesting. When it comes out, I would love to hear that. I know it's going to be some time, but yeah, I would definitely be interested in that. I mean, that's something that's sort of in my avenue. Um,
Really?
yeah, I saw also that you did a cameo on or a role in R.I.P. Man.
Yeah, yeah. I forgot to mention that R.I.P. Man and R.I.P. Man 2. Apparently, I'm casting that as well.
Yeah.
Again, working with local actors, Jamie Langlands. He's a great director. He's a very up and coming director. I'm sure he's learned a lot from maybe Howard Ford and just thought, I want to I want to pave path, make my own path and go in my own direction. And he's hungry, he's ambitious, he's got a
Yeah.
lot of energy, and you can't help being invested in that. And again, I think there's a really sort of blossoming scene in East Sussex for films. Definitely, it's really great to hear. So yeah, I've been cast in the R.I.P. Man 2 as well. It was only voiceover in the first one, but I think the
Okay.
second one had a more prominent role. We'll have to see. I played a detective or something. So yeah,
Yeah,
R.I.P.
I haven't been able to interview him, but I have talked to him on, the social, because I interviewed other actors from The Cell and also the R.I.P. Man. And then I saw you were credited on that as well, and I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. It's all like I don't know, it's so weird how like our channel is very like UK based, even though we're in the US.
Oh, I
Like,
see. Yeah, okay.
yeah, we not really based in you, but like we talked to so many people from the UK
Oh,
already, and it's like it's great though. I mean, we didn't have this opportunity 10 years ago, like as nearly as much. Um, so it's just been interesting, and yeah, so he's very ambitious, and he's just putting out product after product, very quickly but efficiently. So it's nice to see that. You
yeah, he's very driven and he's a really nice guy. He's very approachable and he's got a lot of talent. He was actually in Lockdown Hauntings as well, if you remember. Near the start of the film, he played one
Yeah,
of
yeah, the boyfriend, right?
the boyfriend. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. He's a good guy. Yeah, and it's interesting that I started the interview with you, Dave, talking about things that had happened in my childhood and the bullying and stuff. It's really interesting that that came out for me. Not quite sure why that happened, but it's about being honest, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what I would say as well is because part of the reason I like doing these podcasts, and this is my second one now. The first one was in the UK with the film Fan Carpet with Mark Alley, is that it's not only for me to I mean, fundamentally, I want to get more work. I want people to
Right.
know about me. I mean, I want to get paid for doing what I love. That's my passion, and that's all. It's not about being famous or anything. But what I would say is that I just I want to inspire young actors as well, and or anyone who wants to make a career change in their life. And for me, it wasn't just easy about going, okay, chat with my mom, and then college, university, and then the real learning is on sets, working with people, working with producers, working with directors, working with actors, going to networking events and that.
Mm.
I think it's also got to do with the inner work as well. And I've done a lot of inner work, hell of a lot. Counselling, a course called More to Life, a course called Landmark Worldwide, which I think everyone's heard of. I've done work with my mom because she's a psychologist, so we've
Mm.
done EFT, emotional freedom technique, NLP, neuro linguistic programming. Done loads of work. So, but if you want to make a change in your career and you're committed to being the best version of yourself, then I thoroughly recommend it from the bottom of my heart because I'm really in a very happy place now. Kind of finding out who I really am and finding out what I'm about and finding out that I'm actually, talented and that I've got a lot to offer. Whereas before my early years, I was just very suppressed, not knowing what I wanted for myself, not really having any sort of just passion. I didn't know,
Same here.
To
Yeah.
be honest with you, Dave, this band as well saved my life
Yeah.
when I
Have
was
you, how many times have you seen them live?
four times.
Oh, lucky. Never seen them before. I wanted to go because I live in California. They were playing in at the Santa Clara Stadium, for the 49ers play football team, or American football. So they played in July, and I was gonna try to get one of the like because they played for 2 days, and I was trying to get either day one or day two. It didn't matter to me. But I couldn't save up the money at the time, and I was like, "Oh, fuck, I wanted to see them so bad, but they're expensive, but for good reason. I mean, they're legends, and they're just wonderful. I mean, if I had the money, I would have dropped it and been like, perfect. I could take
Yeah,
the light rail straight up and back. It
yeah.
just didn't work out, and I was like, "Fuck, man, and maybe hopefully next year."
I always remember it was the opening chords of Blackened by Justice for All. I remember listening to it for the first time and going, "Oh my God!" I just felt this. I don't know. It's just like this anger deep from within. This feeling of, "Oh my God!" It just woke me up. And once I tapped into that, I got all the tapes, all
Hmm.
the Master of Puppets, the whole lot, and then Megadeth, and then Anthrax followed, and then Iron Maiden, and yeah, um,
It's amazing how music does that to you. Like it opens like pathways to places that you don't think that or you don't think exist, or you closed off for a long time, and it just kind of reopens these like feelings and emotions and memories and all this. It's a wild, like, therapeutic kind of thing, in a lot of ways.
yeah,
Um, and I'm a man of many genres, so I don't, it's not just for me. It's not just rock and roll. It's everything. I listen to rap, hip hop. I listen to fucking pop. I don't care. It just as long as it does something for me, I'm like I'm in.
yeah.
A little catchy sometimes, whatever. But yeah, music's just like if I didn't have music in my life, I'd be miserable.
I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you, Dave. For me, when I started listening to metal, it was a lot. It got darker, like death metal, like Deicide, Obituary, bands like that.
Yeah.
And I went through that phase for a long, 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 long time. And nowadays, Pearl Jam, Strokes. I'll listen to Barbara Streisand, Kate Bush. I'll listen to any Killers. I'll listen to anything now, a lot
Yeah.
more. And then I have my little moments where I'm just a little bit like, I need a bit of and I'll
Right.
put the heaviest thing on possible. But yeah, I like a lot of different music now. I think and blues and classic and yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
just to add
I,
regards
for
to the
the
music,
for the longest time, I like just was only listening to rap, and I don't know why. I think it was for some reason when I was very young, I didn't care for music at all. Like I don't know why, but then like there was only a couple songs that really like I gravitated towards,
yeah,
and one of them was a rap song, and the other one was like rock. like classic rock. I'm talking like 50s, you know.
You remember
Um,
the songs?
one of them was Bone Thugs and Harmony, um, and the other one was I can't think of the other artist. It was at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock rock. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know the name of the song, but for some reason, as a child, I was like 8 years old, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I was like, it's, it just opened up something, and then Boyz II Men was another one thing. I don't know, just like random stuff. I was just like, "This is amazing." I don't know why I'm gravitating towards this stuff, but I love it, and I'm like, and then and then for a long time, I was just like one category kind of person until I got older. As I'm getting older, I'm appreciating more stuff now. So I listen to everything, as much as I can.
And on the subject of music as well, Dave. Have you heard of a band? Have you heard of a band called? They did the film track for which Ghost of Atlantis.
No,
They also have you heard of a film called One Ranger with Thomas Jane?
no, I never saw it.
They did the single for that as well. It's called When Tridents Fall. Yeah, well, Ghost of Atlantis did the single for which was pretty
Cool.
cool as well.
Yeah, I'll check
Um,
that out. Yeah.
yeah, and Colin Park, the lead vocalist, really lovely guy as well, and that was pretty special as well because we went to the gigs in the UK to promote Witch as well, and we met the band, and yeah, it was a
That's
nice
fun.
moment.
Yeah.
It's a big movie. I think it's done all right. Where they get on Shudder and a lot of films. I think go on Amazon Prime, and that's about it, isn't it? YouTube, Flexi, Tubi, that kind of thing. To
Yeah.
get on Paramount Plus and Shudder is pretty cool. It must have done something right.
I hope to be there one day. I mean, like, I I'm a writer. I haven't written stuff in a while, but I plan to. And then I would love to get behind the camera at some point. I gotta learn the craft, But I did this thing for a competition recently. You might have seen it already. It's a 1 minute clip of me in a weird dialogue. But I don't know. We did it in my office. We did a backdrop and then smoke machine and dim lights, and I'm just like there with a skin mask, looking all weird and shit. And it's a
I think I
really
watched it today. Actually, I watched
yeah.
it today. Yeah.
And we did that in 3 hours, and and I have zero experience with any of it, so um, it was just so fun and creative, and like it was for a competition that I didn't win, obviously, but I I was like I kind of caught the bug on that, I was like I want to do more stuff, like it's just fun, and I love to be creative anyway. So I'm hoping to in the future do something else a little more bigger, more drawn out and that
Yeah.
makes something that makes a little more sense. But uh, it was really fun to do.
What do you think? Question I want to ask you is, what do you think is that? I'm trying to think of the wording. What do you think is the current appetite of US audiences at the moment with regards to movies? Is it the big blockbusters? Is it the independent films? What kind of genres are people tapping into at the moment in the US, would you say?
I think that's a difficult question because it depends on it kind of depends because right now in theaters a lot of the big blockbusters right now are horror films in the US. So Weapons just came well it's out of theaters now. Weapons was the big one. And then what was it? The Conjuring came out right after. Um, and then now you got Predator, which is more sci-fi, but and now Keeper. But there's also like an immense amount of streaming too that has been very popular, especially in the horror community. I see on Instagram all the time, like we're all just congregating together and talking about all these films. So right now, horror is doing like a big splash in the film industry,
Okay.
and more is being produced, and is people are loving it. I'm loving it. Um, but I can't speak on, everybody else. I don't know. It feels like horror right now is like making a big move right now. I hope
Good.
that momentum stays longer than than a couple months, but because normally horror is kind of like seen as like a afterthought. It's kind of like one of those things like in the back burner where they're like, well, let's just make a cheap film. There's going to be a following, but then let's make the next biggest drama, right after that, or it's kind of like a money grab for some companies, and then they
Yeah,
produce like something different.
yeah,
Um, so it's nice that like Blumhouse is like a horror only kind of like production company. Um, and some other ones too. It feels like horror right now is like on the forefront, but I'm sure that's gonna change like next year. It'll probably go back to drama or something like that. Maybe a couple comedies, even though I know comedy as well is not really seen as like a big genre. So horror and comedy are definitely like on the bottom totem pole, and then you got like dramas and probably on the top, and maybe sci-fi somewhere in the middle,
yeah.
middle to lower. But right now it seems like in the U.S. horror is on the forefront of
Okay.
stuff that's out currently.
Yes. Because yeah, I mean, I want to do drama. To be honest with you, that's what I
Yeah,
want to do. It's interesting that I seem to be leaning more into horror. I'm not quite sure why that's happening. I also love comedy as well, but it does seem that I'm leaning into to horror more for however long that will be. I don't know, but yeah. Um, but then it goes back to what I was saying. I'm really drawn to projects that get audiences to think beyond the ordinary. So I'm quite happy with like Bone Keeper, Jitters, Bestyle. Films like obviously My Secret Murders is a bit more factual, but films like that that get people thinking that can be they've got many layers and get people thinking outside the box. They're my kind of
yeah,
film.
yeah. I know. I talk to a lot of actors, and they're always just like for some reason again horror is always like the thing that like is offered more frequently. I think it's just because it's produced more on a lower end for the most part.
Yeah,
Um, then dramas are obviously harder to land, for the most part, from what I hear. Also, the comedies they don't dump a lot of money in that either. And until it blows up, and then they're like, oh, well, we'll produce another one, but we'll put your budget. It's like doesn't make any sense, but okay, sure. Um,
I, I don't like gore for gore's sake. Horror. I don't like when
right,
it's
right.
just it just does nothing for me. I'm sorry to say, but I would say something like Terrifier. I just, you know, I'm not going to watch that. I'm
Yeah,
going to
no, it's fair.
protect my mind. I don't want that. I don't want to be desensitized. Do you know what I mean? I want to be able to
Right.
go, God, that's not for me, and that's enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually talking to my co-host about that because
No disrespect to them, guys.
yeah, no, we're all different. We all like different things, right? So
Absolutely, absolutely.
and even for me, like the first one, like I'm just gonna talk about it as a whole for a second. Like the first one, it's just like a gore fest, like back to back, like just Art the Clown being a fucking asshole for a whole movie, one movie. And I mean, he's an asshole the entire project, but like, um, part two, like they actually put a story behind it. And I'm like, oh, like this is a little more enjoyable because like Art's just not killing people. You actually have two two leads that have a story behind them and some like family stuff behind them as well. And I'm like, okay, I'm actually enjoying this more, even though Art the Clown's running amok. He's like doing all these things, and then part three is even more wild, but they dump a little, they still put more family stuff in there. I'm like, okay, it's not as terrible because again, I'm not really huge into gore fest either. Like it to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense a lot of times. Um, but Terrifier, I'm like two and three. I'm like, okay, I'll sit and watch these. Number one, I probably won't watch it again, like ever. Don't need to. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's an interesting series because it, it's just yeah, it's a gore fest. I mean, more than anything. So yeah, I'm,
Yeah.
I'm more into like psychological for the most part. I mean, I do like the classics. I like Nightmare on Elm Street. I like all the classic villains. You can see them. Well, you can't see them on my wall, but I have Freddy Krueger, Pinhead, Michael Myers, and Jason kind of all around me, and Chucky. These are my
Yeah.
boys right here. Uh, but for all the different reasons, but I do like a lot of the other psychological stuff. I mean, Silence of the Lambs,
I love Silence
that's
of the Lambs.
yeah,
Love,
even though it's not really horror, it's like it's kind of it's a mix of both. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, I mean,
for me, there's got to be a storyline.
right.
That's why I like Witch as well. I think it's an amazing storyline. I think it's absolutely incredible. But there are many layers to the film. Not everybody gets it, you know.
Yeah,
You have to watch it two or three times to get it. I do think the storyline's fantastic, and the reason I say that is because, yeah, I just films like Terrifier don't do anything for me. That
right.
I don't see the storyline. I don't see the subtext. I don't see um, the inner conflicts. It's just not for me. And especially nowadays when there's so many sequels out there and remakes of films, and I think when someone comes along and does something original, I'm all over that. I actually really liked Weapons as well. Apart from the end, I thought it got really silly, and it's a shame because I was watching it and it just seemed to be like, oh my God, where is this film going? And then the next scene, it'd be like, where is it going now? Where is it going? And it just, the suspense was just built up constantly. And I was just like so intrigued. And then
Yeah.
obviously, and then the last 20 minutes, especially with running through the garden screaming, I just lost it completely.
I laughed the whole time.
Were just gone.
I
Do you
laughed.
did you like that?
I surprisingly yes, because I saw the humor in it too. Um, like her this is the it's like a bully, right? Like like when like because I've been on the bully side before and I'm not proud of it. I've done some shitty things in my life. But like when you finally get caught as a bully or when somebody steps up to you and it's like you have that oh shit moment, like that's what I saw in that the final like takes of the movie because like she's like I'm gonna die, I need to get out of here, you know, and so that's why I laughed about it because I'm like well the tables have turned, and she's literally running for her life, and I laughed about that because it was like, and then she, we all saw what happened, but like she gets torn apart, and I'm like, and just laughing. I'm like, well, I mean, that's what you get, It's like,
It's
and
funny as well.
that's why I liked it because I was like, she got what she deserved. So
You mentioned the bullying. I always remember my dad saying to me when I used to come home and say, "Look, it's always 2-on-1." For me, 2-on-1, and very suppressed. So I never really stood up for myself. And he just said, "Just get a bit of two before and hit him round the head with it." And I just like, "Yeah, Dad, okay, yeah."
yeah, let me go to
Uh,
juvie.
huh?
Yeah, let me go to juvenile hall. Yeah, let me just do that. Yeah,
But yeah, yeah.
yeah.
For me,
We had the pleasure of speaking to the lead child actor in that movie.
yeah,
Um,
no, I saw it.
yeah.
Fantastic.
So
That's a
Luke Speakman, shout out to Luke Speakman. But yeah, the insights he gave us was incredible too, and I was like, oh, it was just so fun
How
to
old
just.
is he? If you don't mind me asking, Dave.
What was that?
How old was he? How old is he?
Uh, I think now he's 12.
He's that old.
Um,
He is 12.
yeah, yeah,
My God, that's incredible. And he was giving you insights.
a little bit. Yeah, he was like, it was like this is how we filmed it at the end. He's like, I was like, that's so cool. Just
That's just
because
amazing, isn't it?
oh, I loved every second of it. I was, plus like just I love that like this channel has been so like like a blessing for us because we get to speak to a lot of people, like including yourself, and it's just like, I love hearing about all you guys' backgrounds, like just sometimes you guys give little insights about how the movies are made, you know, like you talking 9 days of production, that's crazy. To me, that's like, and and for me, like Witch is a pretty big production as far as I can tell. You guys had a lot of extras, you guys had big sets. I mean, obviously you guys use The Witcher, but like still a big set. You had lots of effects and lots of things going on. The script is pretty big, like from what I can tell, and it's just so incredible how like we can talk to you guys, and I'm just like, it's been so cool, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Has there
Really.
been anything else recently that you've seen that you were just like, that's incredible? Like,
So,
has there been anything in the theaters recently that like you've seen that you're like, oh, this is incredible?
oh, I see. Oh God. I have seen a play that I thought was incredible, and I forgot the name of it. I didn't expect. I wasn't ready for that question. That's a shame. Oh, because I do like to go and see theatre occasionally. It's nice to tread the boards. I miss treading the boards, but I do think, going off on a little tangent here, is I do think that I'm leaning further into film now. I think film is a
Right.
whole new world, and I want to learn and soak in everything like a sponge, and also the voiceover as well, and TV work. But yeah, going back to your question about theatre, okay, I've got one. Shark is Broken. You might have heard of it. It did really well in New York and on Broadway, I think. The Shark is Broken with Robert Shaw's son, Ian Shaw, who's also part of the voiceover community. I'm with a voice agency called VoiceFox. Ian Shaw, Robert Shaw's son, is with VoiceFox as well. He plays Robert Shaw in the film, and Richard Dreyfuss is obviously played by someone else, and the other actors played by someone else. And it's based on what happened because when Jaws was filmed, the shark actually broke. The mechanical shark, it broke. So it's about what happened between the three characters stuck on this boat with all the
Wow.
cameramen while the shark was being repaired. And it's a fantastic story. And I went to
Wow.
see that in Brighton, Brighton Theatre, and that did really well. In it first, it was at the Brighton Fringe, then it went to Edinburgh, and then it was at a New York run, and I think it was Broadway. So I would recommend The Shark is Broken. It's a very insightful theatre play, and Ian Shaw is spitting image of Robert Shaw, so it's just quite
Wow.
incredible. Obviously, he makes it. Yeah.
I would love to check that out. See, I've never gone to. I've only been to like one theater production. Like, I mean, I'm talking middle school. Like this is years ago. And I don't remember it too well. Like that's how long ago it was. Um, but I don't know. Theater has always kind of terrified me in a way to where like not really terrified me. It's just like I've never been experiencing like enough in it to where like to I can enjoy it. So but I do want to check out like Broadway. I want to go out to New York and check out Broadway at some point. Um, just to say that I've done it at least.
The thing with theatre, Dave, is, and I've realised this in film, if you make a mistake and cut and let's okay, get prepared and camera rolling, action. Theatre, 2 hour show, you go on stage, you make a mistake,
Yeah,
that is it.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
out there for 2 hours. And yeah, it can be scary. I know actors that have just kind of like gone, I can't do that anymore. Stage fright has just taken over. They can't do anymore. And it's happened to me, but I've not let it consume me. But it can, and that is a big difference between theatre and film. Definitely, film sometimes it's just like take that again, take that again. Okay, let's stop. Let's have a break. Let's do it. There's lots going on. There's lots of moving parts. But
Right.
yeah, theatre. That moment when that curtain comes back and you're like, Jesus, have I got my lines? Have I got my lines? Have I got my lines? Do I know what I'm doing? Am I? Oh my god, I'm shaking. I'm shaking.
Do
I'm
do
shaking.
I have my period?
Adrenaline rush. Yeah, that
Yeah.
adrenaline rush is just like nothing on earth. I probably will do a theatre show again if the right play, the right role comes along. Definitely. But film I find very interesting. There's so much to learn, so much. Yeah.
So we should probably wrap this up. But so in closing, like, is there like a certain particular role that you would like to play as? So like, is there like a movie concept to a certain character that you like can envision, where you're like, well, I want to play like whatever it is.
Um, I think yeah, I think what I'd be really comfortable with is like a drama.
Right.
There's a if you have a look for me on YouTube, Russell Shaw actor. If you put Russell Shaw actor in Google, that brings up LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, my website, Facebook, Linktree, IMDb. There's a commercial that I did in 2019 called Bright. It's for the Brighton Housing Trust, which is a homeless charity, and I play a father, and it's like a domestic drama. And
Mm.
Ken Loach actually saw that, and he was very interested in me for the lead of a feature film at the time. So that's how much he thought of it, my peers. So, and I think I did really well with that, and I felt very comfortable. That sort of domestic drama, maybe a dad type, protecting his wife, protecting his daughters. I can see myself doing something like that, something meaty. Maybe an argument or something, I don't know. Maybe I have to go and get someone back. I'm not thinking Man on Fire with Denzel Washington, but maybe my daughter's kidnapped or something, but maybe not with the guns, but yeah, something along those lines. Just a real sort of like gritty drama.
Right.
It's in there, definitely.
I've always wondered how I would get typecasted. Because, I have a particular look to me. So I was like, am I gonna be like thug number two or like fat dad number two? Like, kind of thing. Like I've always kind of wondered about that, but you know, again, that's not really my role. So I'll stick to podcasting for now.
But keep with the writing as well, Dave.
Yeah.
Keep branching out. The main thing is that you're having a conversation about it. If it's just in your head all the time, nothing's going to get done. But if you have conversations with people and talk about, well, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that. I've been thinking about writing. Then slowly but sure, things will start to come to you because what you attract, what you talk about. Language creates your world.
Yeah.
Think about, I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but vibration and frequency and energy, and there's a higher force than just what we see, on a day-to-day basis. And just, yeah, language creates your world. Always remember that.
So do you so as we head out, do you have anything you want to promote or your Instagram or like you have anything you want to talk about before I plug in my stuff?
Well, I mean, I'd like people to be able to find me. I'm wanting to get myself out there. I'm wanting
Right.
people to know about me and see me as not one of these sort of like, I'm certainly not egotistic. I'd like to think I'm very grounded, very genuine. I think I've got a lot to offer, very passionate. And what I want to say to you as well, if you're recording still, this means it's being recorded. Who was the witch? Going back to the film very quickly, who was the witch? Because there's something to be said for that. It's not as obvious as you might think. I think what they've done there, Craig, Mark, and David, is very clever. Who do you think was the witch? Just asking you, Dave.
It was a while since I watched it. I kind of feel like your character was the bad guy because he like in a way because like everything that he's been doing and going I'm trying not to like ruin it for a lot of people. So, because it feels like it's just like a unbroken cycle, with the things that he was doing, from what I remember at least. Um, yeah, I don't know. Obviously like you know, the other person was doing some crazy stuff, but at the same time, the character he played was also kind of feeding into that as well, going back and continuing the cycle in a way. Chasing that same thing and while trying to stop it, but at the same time making things worse in certain, timelines and stuff like that. So it's like,
So,
yeah, infinite loop of mishaps and literally ruining other people's lives, like throughout different, you know, timelines and universes and stuff like that. So I don't know how to answer that correctly.
okay, and just so I just remembered as well that film I mentioned, Triangle, the home and away actress. It was Melissa George who was in 30
Okay.
Days and 30 Nights. That's the only film that I think is very similar, that's got similar parallels with Witch. Yeah, Triangle. So I'd like people to find me. Russell Shaw, actor, double S, double L, SHAW. I'm on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. My website is www.russellshawactor.com. where everything's on there, all my theatre, corporate work, murder mysteries, everything. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Linktree. I'm on IMDb. You know, all the social media grabs.
Everybody that's listening, you can follow the account on Instagram at Beyond the underscore Ether. We're also on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. And then my personal IG account is Cali underscore DTO. And then we also have a merch store that we just launched, which I'll post a link on the bottom of all the other links that I'm gonna have posted, through our YouTube channel and Spotify and stuff. Um, Anywho, for those that want to support us, or even listening is enough support. Um, and that's all I have for now. Thanks again for your time. It was a pleasure. You know, uh, Everybody should watch The Witch. It's all of your stuff will be posted on the description and on the bottom. So you know, yeah, people will check it out. And lots of more content coming in the future. You have a lot of projects coming in the future. I'm sure I'll give you more shout outs, later on and stories and everything. So
Thank you.
we'll be keeping in touch.
Okay, lovely. And I'll be sure to share your work, and maybe we get Howard on there, Howard on your show as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would love to talk to everybody. So especially me. My partner can't be here a lot of times. He's got other stuff going on. So he's only on kind of here and there. But I'm available most of the time. So,
Really
this
appreciate it, Dave. Really
yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you.
I'll be seeing you. And for those that are listening again, good night, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of the day it is. And I'll be seeing you beyond the ether. Goodbye, guys.